She smiles at him, her eyes glistening with tears. Her fingers find his hand and hold tight, as if she were pulling him up from an edge she lost him to years back. El Jefe does not bother to look up as we enter. He's going over a stack of papers with several nervous assistants, his manicured hands following the words being read out to him. He learned his letters late, so the story goes, and refuses to look at anything over a page long. In the offices around him, official readers go through thick reports, boiling the information down to the salient paragraph. Behind him on the wall, the famous motto, "My best friends are men who work." What about the women who sleep with you? I ask in my head. Manuel de Moya shows us our seats in front of the large mahogany desk. It's a disciplined man's desk, everything in neat stacks, several phones lined up on one side beside a board with labeled buzzers. A panel of clocks ticks away. He must be keeping time in several countries. Right in front of me stands a set of scales, like the kind Justice holds up, each small tray bearing a set of dice. Trujillo scribbles a last signature and waves the assistants out of the room, then turns to his Secretary of State. Don Manuel opens a leather folder and reads El Jefe the letter of apology signed by the whole Mirabal family. "I see Señorita Minerva has signed this," he notes as if I were not present. He reads off Mama's name and asks if she's related to Chiche Reyes. "Why, Chiche is my uncle," Mama exclaims. Tio Chiche has always bragged about knowing Trujillo during their early days in the military. "Chiche worships you, Jefe. He always says even back then he could tell you were a natural leader." "I have a lot of affection for Don Chiche," Trujillo says, obviously enjoying the homage. He lifts a set of dice from his scales, upsetting the balance. "I suppose he never told you the story of these." Mama smiled indulgently. She has never approved of her uncle's gambling. That Chiche loves his gambling. "Chiche cheats too much," Papa blurts out. "I won't play with him." Mama's eyes are boring a hole in Papa, our one lifeline in this stormy sea, and Papa is cutting the rope she's been playing out. "I take it you like to play, Don Enrique?" Trujillo turns coldly to Papa. Papa glances at Mama, afraid to admit it in her presence. "I know you like to gamble," Mama squabbles, diverting attention by pretending our real predicament is her naughty husband. Trujillo returns to the dice in his hands. "That Chiche, he stole a piece of bone from Columbus's crypt and had these made for me when I was named head of the armed forces." Mama tries to look impressed, but in fact, she's never liked her troublemaking uncle very much. Every month, it's a knife fight, or money trouble, or wife trouble, or mistress trouble, or just plain trouble. Trujillo puts his dice back on the empty tray. It's then I notice the sides don't balance. Of course, my good-for-nothing uncle would give his buddy loaded dice. "Human teeth, all of it," Papa mumbles. He looks at the small cubes of bone with a horrified expression on his face. Mama indicates her husband with a toss of the head. "You must excuse him, Jefe. He is not well." Her eyes fill, and she dabs at them with the handkerchief she keeps balling in her hand. "Don Enrique will be just fine as soon as he's home for a few days. But may this teach you all a lesson." He turns to me. The cajoling smile of the dance is gone. "You especially, señorita. I've asked that you check in every week with Governor de la Maza in San Francisco." Before I can say something, Mama breaks in. "All my daughter wants is to be a good, loyal citizen of the regime." El Jefe looks my way, waiting for my pledge. I decide to speak up for what I do want. "Jefe, I don't know if you remember what we spoke of at the dance." I can feel Mama giving me the eye. But El Jefe's interest is piqued. We spoke of many things. I mean my dream of going to law school. He strokes his short brush mustache with his fingers, musing. His gaze falls on the dice. Slowly his lips twist in a wily smile. I'll tell you what. I'll let you toss for the privilege. You win, you get your wish. I win, I get mine. I can guess what he wants, but I'm so sure I can beat him now that I know his secret. I'll toss, I say, my voice shaking. He laughs and turns to Mama. I think you have another chiche in the family. Quickly I reach for the heavier set of dice and begin shaking them in my fist. Trujillo studies the wobbling scales, but without my set there, he can't tell which are his loaded pair. Go ahead, he says, eyeing me closely. Highest number wins. I shake the dice in my hand for all they're worth. I roll a double and look up at Trujillo, trying to keep the glee from my face. He stares at me with his cold, hard eyes. You have a strong hand, that I know. He strokes the cheek I slapped, smiling a razor-sharp smile that cuts me down to size. Then, rather than using the remaining dice on the tray, he puts his hand out and takes my uncle's set back. He maneuvers them knowingly. Out they roll, a double as well. We either both get our wishes or we call it even. For now, he adds. Even, I say, looking him in the eye. For now. Sign their releases, he tells Don Manuel. My hellos to Don Chiche, he tells Mama. Then we are banished with a wave of his hand. I look down at the lopsided scales as he puts his dice back. For a moment, I imagine them evenly balanced. His will on one side, mine on the other. It is raining when we leave the capital, a drizzle that builds to a steady downpour by the time we hit Villa Altagracia. We roll up the windows until it gets so steamy and damp in the car that we have to crack them open in order to see out. Dede and Jaimito stayed on in the capital, making some purchases for the new restaurant they've decided to start. The ice cream business is a flop, just as Dede predicted privately to me some time back. Pedrito had to be back yesterday to see about stranded cattle in the flooded fields. He's been taking care of his own farm and ours, so it's just me and Mama and Patria, and of course, Papa, mumbling in the back seat of the car. By Pino Herrado, the rain is coming down hard. We stop at a little cantina until it lets up. Mama doesn't raise an eyebrow when Papa orders a shot of rum. She's too worried about our audience with El Jefe to fuss at him. You were asking for it, mija, she's already told me. We sit silently, listening to the rain on the thatched roof, a numb, damp, fatalistic feeling among us. Something has started none of us can stop. A soft rain is falling when we reach Piedra Blanca. Ahead, men repair a flooded bridge, so we stop and roll down the windows to watch. Marchantas come up to offer us their wares, and, tempted by a sample taste of a small sweet orange, we buy a whole sack of them, already peeled and cut in half. Later, we have to stop to wash our sticky hands in puddles on the roadside. At Bonao, the torrential rains start again, and the windshield wipers can't keep pace with the waves of water washing over us. In my head, I start making plans about where we can spend the night if the rain is still this bad once it gets dark. We pass La Vega, and the rain is lighter now, but it shows no sign of letting up. The whole spine of the country is wet. Towards the west, dark clouds shroud the mountains as far as Constanza, and on through the whole Cordillera to the far reaches of Haiti. Rain is falling, and night is falling in Mocha as we pass. The palm roofs sagging, the soil soggy with drowned seeds, the drenched jacarandas losing their creamy blossoms. A few miles after Salcedo, my lights singled it out. The ancient anacahuita tree, dripping in the rain, most of its pods gone. I turn into the unpaved road, hoping we won't get stuck in the mud I hear slapping against the underside of the car. It's raining here too, in Ojo de Agua, Eye of Water. The name seems ironic given the weather. North to Tamboril and the mountain road to Puerto Plata, the rain drives on, in every bohío and small conuco, and on out to the Atlantic, where it is lost in the waves that rock the bones of the martyrs in the deepest sleep. We've traveled almost the full length of the island and can report that every corner of it is wet, every river overflows its banks, every rain barrel is filled to the brim, every wall washed clean of writing. No one knows how to read anyway.